Yeah, I need to get to that class. Okay.
Okay. Is anyone not ready?
Did you send the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just download it to make sure.
Sure.
I don't have it on the... I have it... Oh, never mind. Just got it. I'm so open.
Let me say my friend didn't do this though.
Yeah.
Oh, also, did you get your shoot done? Did you register your class?
No, after
No, it's at 6. It's like during...
That's why I asked, because it's during the debate.
Oh,
If
it
it's during a
opens
speech,
at
I won't,
6.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
If it's during a speech, I won't say anything and I'll just do it on my own, like not make it a thing. But if it's like, like prep or downtime, I'm just gonna ask if I can stop and do it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
I kind of like the idea of like, halt the money on.
Yeah, no, I want if it's during a speech, I'll just do it. I'll just do it. I was saying I might need a second.
Yeah, we're good.
That's good?
Yeah.
Okay. Devon, anyone not ready?
Nope, we're good.
Premise 1, U.S. China is inevitable. A, decline. Beijing's preservationist actions point toward immediate military action in the Pacific. Beckley Branch 24, Beijing gets a massive military buildup, stockpiling fuel and food to reduce vulnerability. Sanctions popping nears Beijing's being coercive with the Philippines, Japan, India, Taiwan, risk of wars rising. Analysts think the risk is overblown. This is dangerously misplaced. Certain circumstances change territorial disputes are less susceptible to peaceful resolution. Making policy zero sum. The balance of nation shifting. China aid to dictatorship. Prohibitive calculations doesn't think China will defeat China. One week with the indicators of blinking red possibility. War rights in Rome would be the first time a peaceful power broke down. China's civilian attacks and Taiwanese targets will include the Pentagon. Good definition of this fault. Until Beijing believed that balance would shift in favor of China's movement for war. Two-thirds population considers itself Taiwanese population first. Independence with stats with U.S. time relations with Biden declaring the U.S. and defending and Beijing growing large SKS presence expanded Philippines for years, starting to right for Germany sending forces through the SKS in response to China's aggressive trends contributed as stagnating debt. Exploding countries are choking off access to semiconductors, slapping new trade restrictions every year, anti-China pacts for delivery grounds. This is just well for Russia's actions to make us nervous about extra dangerous to resume Xi. It's learning lessons Americans like Xi Nazi. Ukraine and Taiwan's capital Putin's struggle believes Wilson's the war they have been prepared. China have been preparing for for decades. China may attack Taiwan or India. Between the Philippines today, China is primed for violence. B, risk tolerance is growing in small-scale disputes. U.S. obligations to the Pacific compel intervention. Mazar 24 is China threatens force against Taiwan. U.S. is focusing conflict over the island. There's an equal risk aboard the SES. China's bold bases and harassing countries face risk of disaster. The Philippines face the risk of competition higher than ever. U.S. is confident with the NDT Beijing attacks. China Washington being compelled to respond more frequent incidents. European press is easy to exaggerate China's attendees difficult to deny. Beijing seeks to dominate Beijing's risk tolerance. Risk to be growing. First of actually the Philippines. Indonesia Vietnam in the last 2 years shifts indicated 300 incidents. She has research restrained arrested the slowing growth through the state crisis. But the structural disputes in SES collision course with the Thomas Shoal. U.S. says the maritime transit clashes over fishing and energy seem bound to lead to escalation. C, primacy. China and the U.S. fit the Thucydides model that guarantees unforeseen conflict inevitably. Watkins 24. U.S. and China destined to battle is inevitable. Unlikely relates to the occasion both super nationals and there's the Thucydides trap and play inevitable clash for violence when rising power displays ruling power resulting structural trust based final clash of world and other nations and naive believe the other nationals no nation tries to second place China's largest army nationals further focus on attack and 1/5 humanity with motivation to regain strong position both China and Thor's wise limited some generations later that's what hinted also like change secretly waddling China turned aggressive to describe from internal problems conflict with China is closed. D, aircraft carriers Retro 24 China destined to sink up carrier escalating tensions highly conflict has to be reliant on carrier dues and fiercely destined for unless an offer is taken soon conflict will be a fate godly the Navy's carriers will be charged with making China's forces probably China's aware of obsession carriers and table strategy for denying use in any conflict harvest of weapons from carrier should a single carrier be lost create such a gap in America's capability to force the U.S. to blow away from forces Beijing when it hesitate to single because leaders understand psychological fact having the American people consider how committed to reclaiming Taiwan she is it should be obvious Beijing forces readily deploy their power against terrorists heavily turn American strength and vulnerability China's missile superiority makes sourcing a fleet probability for America's Pentagon putting all of stakes in the obsolete carrier baskets. E, nuclear incidents even if not a full-scale conventional conflict there's a high risk of accidental nuclear crises between the two. John 20 Washington is concerned Beijing views forced to overturn the regional status quo. Beijing concerned Washington's objections to bring down the regime. Miscommunication of a time would be immediate driver conflict and threats or resolve could be interpreted as preparation for escalation. Diplomacy official units and church institutions to work with the ASAP to be examples of military actions to reinforce escalation cyber in space attacks targeting AT unconsensus government community use for risen forces concerned about escalation there would be breaks in escalation and less in combination with this and accident justifies concerns. No war stays limited even if the U.S. doesn't have nuclear level security interests with smaller skirmishes. Wars between great powers expand horizontally and escalate for 24. Wars between great powers are really short the opportunity to expand horizontally and sneering of the reasons the record repeats the theme war between the U.S. and China expands horizontally with Russia and North Carolina against the U.S. Japan Philippines Soka and others occurs in multiple theaters soon the ability to hurl legions back and forth home against its rapid rapid directing U.S. stocks and specific to window pressure increases and options decreasing TNWs are employed now in existence wars now limited to the first down the chains mainly limit escalates wars after the third of nuclear construction December. Present nuclear changes shatters escalation management. Premise 2, the U.S. would use nuclear weapons first. In a full-scale conventional conflict, the U.S. would lose the war due to military inferiority, prompting limited nuclear first use. Sweeney 21. The U.S. could contemplate nuclear use for Chinese conflicts and nearest an easy victory for its forces operating proximity or in missile space. China made the war funded repeated by actions of vulnerability. Official checks that China was a single carrier with inflict more fatalities than rapid drive to a public ensconced to the myth of the superiority of China. Use missiles against Japan who want the U.S. tactical opposites with the empire. These make use nuclear less likely compatibility diminishing conventional superiority. China's force moves systems are nuclear and non-nuclear reliance on Lord ICBM's conflict against reading misidentification against your ships of disentanglement. Far from the whole problem there is fundamental misreading of the major escalation efforts to repel an attack after demonstrating sides will take absolute view to the states stacked fractionally until they do not make nuclear use more valuable than cold pre-conflict intention suggests. But even small-scale military incidents could tempt U.S. game implementation. A nationalist and nuclear pure Chinese army cannot be deterred by nuclear use. Round 21. PLA oriented local conflicts, primarily Taiwan. The ENSES PLA seeks to reduce individual defeat if it does nuclear branching is over hardly necessary. PLA believe it would not intervene in conflict in the throne of the U.S. Second strike named bold PLA do separate risk Chinese documents efficient cyber official tax early printed the bold by neutral militia red tax would carry the risk use satellite system however dual use process view Chinese actions destabilizing state and neutral small Chinese nuclear force in the middle of France spread attempting target with the U.S. at least damage with the use of side counter forces with the risk to understate and fail to China continues to force to inflict damage to be excessive with the far war to influence be China using military official conflict with technology increases in readiness deployments and goal will not be to use inside race fears and conflict and escalation or intervention of the Pacific secondly be indistinct control for nuclear track China's exports are over conflict control very well make the PLA more aggressive in conflicts. Even if the U.S. doesn't lose the war, Chinese alternate response options early in a crisis cause U.S. nuclear use Cunningham and Farrell 19 the post-Cold War era U.S. control operations against other militaries outside the military fighting with enemies escalate users are overmatched stops conventional dominance could create China's nuclear forces and further targeting missiles create pressure on China mobilization of ballistic substance protection assurance or that use in response to U.S. attempt to try to limitations of forces the degrees about fire breaks as control spiral miss opportunities to negotiate U.S.-China nuclear conflict causes extinction cloud 21 American forces poised to strike battle charges on the China's mainland preparations for subjected a preemptive use of nuclear strike and the middle convocation resulting down cost of nuclear burden the death of billions of climate moon fires ignited but carbon in the atmosphere plan the United States should adopt a nuclear no first use policy restricting the first use of its nuclear forces against China. Premise 3, solvency. The risk of a first strike is extremely high. Only NFU can solve energy and government 23 percent on the U.S. reciprocal NFU the rationale for restraint. The use of nuclear prevent regional and religious responsibility company claims involving territory reasons to cause war. Taiwan and the SES, but China conflict use faces she have more than the official ability to be highly vulnerable. The other rewards aside the structure China the use of race and new technologies among AI, quantum and autonomous systems could be instability on platforms can start a war. Never will hesitate to use a short war begin escalate rapidly. Advantages of using within withholding strike systems and pronounced conflict be destructive very quickly. China to attack American aircraft carriers and air bases likely to nuclear weapons. Rise to civilization is preparation on nuclear weapons and nuclear and strike first. Nuclear deterrence cannot solve the advantage. A doctrinal perception. China only cares about conventional overmatch. They believe nuclear threats are uncredible and can only deter U.S. intervention. Master 23 U.S. nuclear weapons far from clear to impact deterrence based on China's thinking. Nukes have a negligible impact on China's calculation deterrence posture has been based on belief that even when detonation of U.S. soils enough to destroy U.S. more news will not destroy limited Chinese military actions using non-credible power nations or conventional conflicts to be used China view weapons only for destroying nuclear China believes nuclear weapons to be controlled. That's how China places strategic weapons are only for singly combined with concerns of it to be arsenal then U.S. China's definitely did first use whether it should be the case or not. Reality China claims believe very possible to fight conventional war that escalated believe once weapons use escalation be uncontrollable and now will strike first. China believes the U.S. would avoid intervening in the conflict between the U.S. and China and the an impact on Chinese calculations by use of force. The perception of conventional balance the U.S. can use nuclear threats to compensate Taiwan level of cost make nuclear incredible atrophy. The U.S. officials transfer the main driver with likelihood of war. China threatened nuclear use U.S. official on intervention. This will severely impact New York landing. China believe it could have ability to force the use of the risk combination to respond to some of the obstacles forcing this to continue China use nuclear weapons to make up for conventional force should be avoiding nuclear weapons to ensure conventional activities. B, overconfidence. The Chinese strategic community is insular and overwhelmingly believes the U.S. would not use nuclear weapons. Economy and Frabel 19. China's great seeks to control every nuclear force with the ability to control escalation could increase the odds of escalation by the U.S. Army and SBM for the white to signal the indistinguishable from nuclear attack. The U.S. creating risk however wanted escalation China would engage nuclear systems direct coercion however however you signal this preparation to use survivability could mistake it so first defense policy indicates missile units and stops increase alert status attack states however only when having some nuclear time to use weapons and distinction between signaling and use could easily be lost in usage and makers ethical China here to overseas China confidence in overseas makes it less likely to recognize the risk of escalation. China's community is confident about ability to avoid escalation. China's expect to support any nuclear use at the given level. China's doctrine does not plan to wage nuclear war from operations were means to retaliate the decoupled gives from nuclear strategy on nuclear weapons such as cyber and devices and PLA extend this confident Chinese overestimated ability to control if adversary overreacts. C, nuclear triad. China's completion of a new sea-based nuclear force locks in mutual vulnerability for Chinese planners, but that risk escalation from the U.S. side. Logan 23. Chinese raised concern to U.S. nuclear and conventional strike and under mention representing use of loose pressures against the enforced however strength is relative to decreases pressure. China uses forces to shield trying to shake conventional aggression would be susceptible to U.S. nuclear threats. As seen as trying to particularly help dissuade U.S. intervention in the NSES. China's SSB enforced escalation risk from entanglement some reinforces creating possibility for entanglement to see SSBMs and SSMs visit same force overlapping and CC exhibits similar acoustics that she see China's forces have significant risk. Only the U.S. would use nuclear weapons first. China unconditionally adheres to NFU, the wait until terrestrial detonation to retaliate. China's 22. China's nuclear use proved controversial, especially in the context of Taiwan cross whatever leaves a high level of they repudiated. However, the repudiated speculations emphasize over and over nuclear use was also commemorated in China's by various good reason to believe China's not all nuclear use leads to recognize gravity because of the conventional nuclear still viewed as absolute preventing China for nuclear coercion because China's strong threat for unified possibility expansion of C is to ensure a modernization of C and C to ensure survival because Beijing accepts the term to be attacked states to avoid its own Muslim nuclear weapons large operations of overwhelmingly emphasize the ability to respond after observing and attack. The fact no China's leader ever uttered threats is significant. Suggest remain confident it pursues a primary ambiguity or intended to address evidence. Suggests China's obsession with recidivism with investments with probability even if pursuing certain viability. Even if willing to, China doesn't have the proportionate capabilities to strike and are only likely to develop them in reaction to U.S. first use team. Second strike with would have to strike a larger number of targets or forces based rather than more of fields or out of range traditional missiles low would violate new first really wanting to be used for probability main purpose. B to make it extremely challenging for this to maintain limitation of China's expansion. It's true by an effort to develop first strike to be sure but could enable strikes against US with little warning. However, a true first strike would require massive expansion of arsenal still nowhere near having the equal striking ability even if we're to develop 1,000 weapons by the end of the decade. Or small means small the US China's leaders are starting asymmetric balancing there's limit that China is endorsing limited first use China like theater CNW's posture is not optimized for theater portion developing new low yield options. Experts in China emphatically reject should be through fear of US employment makes the shift more likely even if China's next arsenal reflects a shift toward deterrence based on a secure second striker mad.
Cool. Good? Oh, is the plans? Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll start cross-sex when we get to the plan.
Yeah.
Alright.
I sent it.
Alright. Yeah, make sure you get it first time. Yep. Okay. Does the plan do operational changes?
No.
None? So it just tells China we're not going to use nuke first against them.
Yeah.
What incentive do they have to believe that?
To believe that?
Yeah.
Notice we didn't read anything in the 1AC that hinges on China's
China does not trust
believability.
the plan at all.
We have not introduced that claim yet. Of course, we
Yeah.
reserve the right to say that in 2AC, but
But as of the one I see, China does not trust the plan.
as of the
Yeah.
1AC, we haven't introduced it in our. We're agnostic on that question.
You're agnostic. Okay. The first scenario, the first Brands and Beckley card, I guess. Premise one. So the first thing it says, like, go through all the warrants of Brands and Beckley. The first one is that territorial disputes are becoming less susceptible to peace. What disputes and why?
SCS, Taiwan, ECS.
Okay, that's
that
a
is-
list of things. What disputes are happening in each region and why?
That is it. Like those are intractable territorial disputes. Our evidence then goes on to say
Between
that
China
there's,
and U.S.
there's been or between China and U.S. partners. So there's been an escalation of like harassment.
Have you heard an
incidents
argument
in
that
South
the U.S.
China
would use a
Sea.
nuke on behalf of a partner? In that
We-
situation, if China's like ships were to bump into Japanese or South Korean ships, would the U.S. on their behalf? Is that the scenario?
Well, the U.S. that starts an action-reaction spiral that escalates to a shooting war. Once that happens, all bets are off.
What do you mean all bets are off? Like,
We nuke.
Okay, that's the scenario. This Telus card, no, actually that doesn't matter significantly. The second argument, what direction is military balance in the region shifting? Is it just getting more militarized?
It is getting more militarized.
Okay,
We think America's conventional edge is eroding.
Yeah, sure. Subpoint E, nuclear incidents. This card talks about cyber intrusions. Cyber intrusions into what?
America's CNC systems.
So like our nuclear command and control systems?
Yeah, like our
Why would
satellites
they
are
do
early
that?
warning.
Like, what is their goal? Do they want to like make the nukes launch? Like what are they trying to do?
It could be for like espionage or surveillance purposes. Like they want to learn.
What do they
more
need to
about our
surveil about our
capabilities.
CNC systems?
Like where they're pointed, what our capabilities are.
Vulnerabilities.
Okay,
Yeah.
but then why would we launch a nuke in response to that?
Because it gets misinterpreted as a prelude to a first strike, and we won't.
Okay,
once
is
early
that the
warning
only?
goes down.
Is there another scenario for a nuclear incident as per this evidence?
I think our evidence does speak to like general miscalculation pressures, but I think
It's just mainly about NC3.
space and cyber. Yeah,
Space? What happens in space that causes us to launch a nuke?
it's the same internal link. So our early warning early warning satellites get wiped out.
So they
by
hack
ASATs.
our early warning ASATs.
What's that?
They hack our early warning ASATs and then
No, an ASAT is an anti-satellite weapon.
Oh,
so
yeah, sorry. They
China
hack our
could
early
use an
warning satellites and then, or they use ASATs against them? That's you have
Could
to look
use
at that?
an ASAT against the U.S.
Why would they do that?
Kind of the same purpose. Like maybe they're preparing for a conventional conflict and they want to knock
Okay,
out our
yeah,
early
so you have to
warning.
win conventional conflicts in every to win that. That's fine. The Sweeney, actually, 16 seconds. Yeah, we're good. Margaret, want to take a second? Yeah, take it. Yeah, yeah. I'll grab it. Okay. One of these being second.
When did you stop prep, Pat?
That was the rest of cross-X. That was 16 seconds.
Gotcha.
I don't know what our
focus on premise 1 or premise 2?
Premise 1 and then premise 2.
Sure. Premises.
So 5.
Mhm.
Yeah, like if everyone could just speak up a little bit, there's like
Yeah.
a lot of
Okay.
Yeah,
like,
sorry.
electric
Yeah.
events.
Yeah, this is like
Yeah. Okay, sorry, it's 6. And then premise 1, premise 2.
This is kind of my question, but like at what point does it become premise 2?
I'll tell you. Got it. Anybody not good? Okay. First up is the unappealability counterpoint. The United States unanimously passed nuclear no free legislation restricting the first use of its nuclear force against China, including a non-binding promise to not repeal the legislation. It convenes adopting for its future alterations. It is complete not to rescind the authority not to adopt does not include alternative or repeating that statute being interpreted in accordance with the intended legislature. The fundamental principles bound by the court not modified statute. The word adopt means to enact is true with respect to adopting legislators implement imports every position. In the entire work, the unappealable nature of the plain cause is infinite entrenchment that destroys legislative power and democratic rule. Roberts and Schmitty owes relentless retrenchment by its Congress for enacting new laws alternative for laws and statute that prohibit its own repeal destroys the legislative power. It has no stopping point. Legislative entrench under law rules that could produce legislative power for successive process repeated until legislation must be excluded and the legislative power is in effect law conclusion. A version or appeal will be allowed no conditions until the democratic rule entrenchment causes circumvention and existential crisis pandemics disasters terrorism require flexible response before all to when entrenching confront addressing issues and individual to problems requires legislature to have strong incentive to take action but entrench and close reacting. However, it is anticipated that it is anticipated legislature to have the flexibility to respond to rapidly infuriating children health crises disasters and attacks and entrenchment or possible laws for food deploying necessary legislation emergencies entrenchment can undermine confidence and by circumvention just for the institutional structure and ability to repeal leave open defiance of courting nature's best knowledgeable laws for institutions undermining confidence in these scoundrels or for efforts to be amenable next off is the Congo decided post-election Congo's democracy is fraudulent with the city due to extensive diplomatic efforts by the United States that spills over into broader African governments. Wilson 2-3 nation possesses enormous and normal technology and second is Congress interplanetary governments politicians gave who's finding enrichment cells DRC will struggle until leaders and do so the electorate rather than their pockets to be scouting on corruption all of the DRC that thus we are acting to sort of democracy political saying after one conflict going after political crisis man democracy through working national vacuum produce results DRC crucial to electric power tropical largest tropical forest vast river power and then constant agriculture potential gas oil Washington is the batting capital to compel it to compete against Chinese and get will give us to maintain blood function to enable durable peace central to Africa's market the plan self necessary diplomatic resources for 13 arms control as opportunity constitutional have so much time energy capital necessarily means that one is not so hard other issues. It might be wiser to spend one's final resources on diplomatic capital and other things. Economies, partnership, friends, extinction rate, 21 8 after managers can have a city impact of the competition to because of the importance of the economy for global formation. Maybe the origin of the world's activity may about the extremism and terrorism has a potential to spread Africa. And if Africa fails to develop Africa, then becomes source of recruits to extremist terrorism and opportunities to answer right for internal unrest and radicalization. Al-Qaeda is provoking this maybe over those small anti-neighbor countries with power competition channel. The impact of Russia is increasing. It's causing how much domestic United States and the rest of the world between the approaches to partner with a focus on assisting nations to improve governance. Africa be a positive contributor to the global scene. Next up is the AIC Martin said the military successfully integrating AI to its war planning out, but it's dependent on civil, on fragile civil alignment with this crew and all 1129 institutions. And we're open to take advantage of new technology, including AI, close military social struggle with military integration lists. So we think to have the vision for explorers and engineers outlines with consensus already formed across the DoD for local forms of AI integrated across the universe with orders and the updates to joint force diversity acting on the guidance after priorities for optimistic departmental heads for direction creating tactics and taking advantage of moving the plan for nuclear reduction sugar Pentagon backlash better and alternating with limited people facing government systems like the Pentagon officials. No for use our major departure trends and stage of the block to touch organization saying the hidden military to policy changes significant cause policy and nothing of the presidential decision. There is no point in the officials of short that traction to meetings about this year where the Pentagon, the Defense Department, believes that advocates for the South Korea and the driver's seat bill. Unless I really concerned about it, just so I decided to talk to the Afghan and say about this situation, but they have to inform key version Pentagon should commit a successful integration, causes extinction, use 17, option continue, most return to dangerous money for 15. Providing support could have a first effective nation, not coding weapons. They will have to purge the traditional warfare, larger numbers and numbers. We're trying to weapons in addition to the new weapons of discouragation from using force in the system, means it's not terrorism, human rights, disasters, nuclear proliferation, and aggression. Next off, and is the K. The one is the basic proposition compulsion by pursuing more liberation over nuclear warfare will prevent ultimate destruction. That makes it inevitable about this in 15 argument. The public must regard nuclear war as capable is the book or the emphasis scholarship book something addressing block action about the war. So we should nuclear war is truth like any of the issue the unthinkable quality system down from the strong emphasis of the critique from something beyond mediation power. At the bottom was a fundamental inability of language and cannot respond to the bomb and writing speech without playing its game, which is debate over nuclear policies and judgment of the ultimate step of nuclear war demands. New thinking response demands, new thinking response to the cases of control with these circumstances to try again. This is repetition compulsion in the context of nuclear war meant over the time where this simulation should remain comes to the control of these states with all. The current that's between access depending on nuclear prints, the appeal for popular video games holding existential turns all impact authoritarian. Neoconservatism operates symbolically while lived experience by the left is dominated by fear of convergent crisis. 123 lives are subject to terrorism, 100 urban war, economic meltdown, pandemic, global warming, nuclear formation, the symbolic symbol words, constitute the psyche, 7 is your right to ideology of the usual effects of social power, ideology, and subconscious fantasies, something of the psychosocial cycle of fear, and both the neoconservative agenda haunts our lives and environment can be a total of one when safety and symbolic capacities are also angel second. to occupy the place of the impossible. Go 22, the language of underground social order, the essence of language, is not in the absence of the perception. The possibilities also holds contract increasing possibilities, but the political act must occupy the impossible. To do the impossible to occupy the point of contact within the social order, and throw one's identity to destroy the image return project is enjoyment of novel, is the enjoyment of non-belonging, the left is oriented between novel and cards, and waiting to join the struggle in the presupposition of an army next off is the Soko dissent. The United States should increase nuclear weaponry with the United States. ROK nuclear consultative group, including training RC, ROK leadership on nuclear conventional integration tactics, can clarify that it anticipates its unique forms to defend South Korea through a nuclear tactic, and increases ROK inclusion and nuclear defense spending, which is source of faith in a nuclear realm that solves the link to avoid our links and spend it all 23 in the ROK. Proceed to the commitment to the outside of total reaffirmation of that contradictory essentially is asking ROK to do election that is exercise blind trust and outdated states emphasizing atypical options. Between the ROK nuclear assurances and NTG with the difference in ROK assurance, ROK citizens will pay attention to provide the team a strategic advisor between ROK US war planners and understanding the weapon nuclear weapons that organize a tabletop action that retreat. Conventional nuclear force integration procedure to using nuclear nuclear weapons to same confident treaty thought order collateral image integration and the Western North Korea poses and a few causes Soko pro pain and Dodge 23 adamant. According to the release of test of independent about South Korea, North Korean and Chinese sides of a new interest that Washington Declaration raised extended deterrence to assure more than 20% value to nuclear weapons. This reflects doubts on the credibility of the U.S. nuclear umbrella assurance if assurance comes from and doubts of this potential to undo the alliances and eyes of the return of opposition to no first response said a question to allies or response to our negative no causes crisis nuclear war and cascades its symbol 23 civil panic just nuclear the top of national support hostilities leaders will have to object to such testing against the escalation HMS received the under attack racing division and nuclear domestic launch has 1.1% against allies nuclear and cyber great escalation into working nuclear thesis of others which are called and beliefs with a high probability of WTDC intelligence more based on faulty assessments and study the stage versus choosing the first group of the first is here we have the okay is it worth escalation not to mention more in accidental use due to malfunction next off is elections dissent. Biden is holding off U.S. China relations in 2024 to avoid flipping key voters towards Trump. The plan makes Biden the week on China, which loses him the election. Moscow's 23 American has the election seat to China's GDP faster. Both parties of sour on majority of U.S. adults to China. As the NEG defended practically is lucky to face election year head. The election year head wins aside. A recent easing of elevation Democrats will the technical use was China leaving Biden will room for new approach Biden relations to the all more to give the upcoming general election. Biden will be in his pain to avoid hemorrhaging voters over China or look weak against Beijing. Essentially, in reaction against Trump, Biden's up-on foreign policy focus to study the UN, which proves only the link matters. Charlotte 24 polling remains an integral element with there is no question we're seeing a shift in the state of the his individual role against multiple huge cash infusions from the period campaigns and convincing natural national Muslim Biden leading our Biden's of the polling averaging this leading toward Trump 2 points while Trump is the least of lawsuit environmental policies effectively addressing climate change asking in terms of Trump guarantees and triggers a dominant fact that dismantles pro-climate policy showing in 23 Trump returns to office. Although those are going to there's a comparison to all about how dominant effect individuals will not see the if the US is not acting easy for conservative politicians these until accountability these with adverse energy and encouraging the IRA post-clean power second Trump administration to be to loss of fuel office works to dismantle policies AQ would be because this past 7 half of the massive portion of the which lower saw climate change cause extinction Watson 23 climate change action posting human force in the IPCC then connect the United States the biological diversity climate change can have other impacts in societies and economies existent. There are no signs of problem climate change documented cuts and exacerbating the station in place to be the pace of change making the extinction crisis climate change manifest by diversity climate warming and deforestation rising ocean temperatures related to invasive species and toxicological waste can cascade the confrontation advantage. Or premise 1. China war is not inevitable. Recall 23 some relations remain at the worst of deciding the ties to Soviet South. One of the inevitable use some relations are more complicated to the travel to the Washington Beijing after that's against the agency that continues to indicate the durable community to complication requires examples for sales to profit mitigation because China said $758.4 billion the Russian defense peace had discouraging call that the US would not use a nuclear weapon first zero to China would make negative sense blocking the United States. You go to China to the Chinese go for South Korea launch to attack the huge walls of the they have had catastrophic impacts on critical concepts of both US defense and ISIL. Look at the best US force conventional force. The US has never thought about doing that first. That's Robert 20 the Sunsi nuclear warfare US military players have not prepared for the again of the nuclear weapons. US are home to try TNW for employment on a very limited basis to remain nuclear war any method employees all enemies package units and seen as incapable of eliminating nuclear retaliation so no capabilities can take the development deployment reinforces resolve 7 decades of conflict disagree with them pragmatic 24 US okay skip that card military's no decline is decades behind the US choosing physical options because they know that they'll lose 24 the gap between China and the United States cannot be ignored. The US has the most powerful military that reach requires passing other nations. This military gap is China has been increasing spending on advancing China's armies that has a long way to go in 2023 military ready so the one for the United States regarding the core China is secure compared to China's 3 the US has 11 operational carriers with carriers for extensive support while more China capabilities are advancing. They have not reached the level of the United States military in hard past years and in 10 years prediction U.S. past years consequence for China's growth the China will not hurt the United States modernization is not approved through provoking war heat 23 China's has to take China from the modernization of the island versus the Chinese usually probably leaders are worried the downfall of capacity states when they plan to predict going to China requires working with more military missions. The only is also charged with war mission Chinese leaders are arguing to China national status is in place the hyper-fast has from China's military leaders while the
carriers
sorry
actually
market
go to NC3
at parades NC3 even modernized upgrades are disconnected and cyberspace that's linked to an NC3 components have undergone that completion each component has been standalone the middle nature of the cyber like I say through some video I should do back in with plugging point to hardware and architecture the cyber threat is fairly mutable to systems are secure because if not they can tell for cyber threats I mean no access platform through the cyber access more than should this amount of literature or because my transform was occurred this manner.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
housekeeping, did you skip any off?
No.
Okay, status of the off?
Conditional.
Entrenchment, or that process counter plan. So I understand durable fiat just means that people choose not to roll back the plan. Why is breaking the Constitution normal means?
So passing any statute that can never be repealed is bad. Our evidence says the option of Congress being able to repeal it in the future is what is good. Like the impossibility of that violates the Constitution.
Okay.
These are both the questions.
Okay. DipCap, you've read an arms control card. What's the link to the affirmative?
It says that any sort of international engagement saps arms control. We think that part of the AFF would be communicating with China that there's a shift in our nuclear posture. We think that would sap diplomatic resources.
Okay. The SOCOPA,
Yeah.
does the counter plan give South Korea a veto over nuclear first use on the peninsula?
Nope. It trains them in nuclear conventional integration tactics and clarifies that we would anticipate to use nukes first. There is no veto.
They would have more input in the consultation
they would have
process
input in the
before the US uses a nuclear weapon, and South Korea would know that, but it does not give them a direct veto.
So what happens if the
They
U.S.
couldn't veto, but if
decides-
South Korea and the U.S. come to a conclusion that a nuclear first strike is not beneficial, then like they would do it.
Also, the Bennett evidence is in the context of the NCG and says that the U.S. is like not likely to like overrule South Korean objections.
Okay. The counter plan text does not specify China. Does it consult them over NOCO too?
Sure.
Okay. In what scenario would using a nuclear weapon first protect the security of allies?
I guess the 1MC says that there's some sort of risk of North Korea like trying to forcefully, I guess, like invade South Korea for some reason.
So I want to
no,
flag that.
Different? Okay, scratch that.
That's-
Scratch that. No,
Okay.
two things. One, we've got a broader link. What's it called? The Payne and Dodge evidence talks specifically, they've asked South Korea, what should the U.S. do in NFU? South Korea rejects it every single time for the sole reason they're opposed to U.S. reductions in nuclear posture. Those spill over. Those have a symbolic effect. South Korea perceives the U.S. as attempting to
Yeah, but,
abandon the nuclear aspect of the alliance, which
that's-
causes hedging.
You've got like Michaela Dodge on your side, but I want to ask, like, in what
Dude,
circumstance
half of the
would
one he
an
sees for like
ally?
Newsweek articles, it's like China's gonna get it. It's like shut up. Like,
I'm just
We
asking,
don't
like,
need to outline a specific scenario. We read evidence that says that South Korea thinks the possibility of U.S. first use is a key deterrent and is key to the overall credibility of the U.S.'s nuclear umbrella.
okay, elections. Why is the plan more important to voters than, say, Gaza, the border, and abortion combined?
Yeah, so the people that are voting based on Gaza, the border, or abortion have already decided who they're going to vote for, right? The dissat is about the few thousand swing voters who have not decided who they're going to vote for yet, who vote based on foreign policy.
You have to win that literally nothing will happen between now and the election.
Yeah, our evidence is actually pretty good on that. That says that nobody's going to let any controversial legislation get through. There's not going to be an immigration deal because nobody wants to give Democrats a win. No deal on Gaza is going to get through because no one wants to give Republicans a win.
The order is premise 1, premise 2, premise 3, the unrepealable counterplan, the psychoanalysis critique, the dip-cap disadvantage,
I'm in the whole thing again.
I haven't finished. Unrepealable counterplan, the psychoanalysis critique, the South Korea disadvantage, the CMR disadvantage, and then the elections disadvantage.
I'm gonna need that once more. Yeah, I'm in the middle.
Premise 1, 2, 3,
Yep.
the counterplan, the psychoanalysis K, dip cap,
Yeah.
SOCO assurance, CMR, elections. Okay. Dropped. Multiple warrants for conflict is inevitable. 1, Thucydides' trap ensures inevitable clashes over primacy, even if currently unlikely. That's Watkins. 2nd is carriers will be struck by China. It instantly neutralizes U.S. power, even if risky. That's White Shirt. 3, accidental skirmishes in cyber. NC3 and space carry nuclear level risk. That's done. Dropped. No war stays limited, given the horizontal escalation of Allied drawing. That's Krug. Ensures winning a single warrant for conflict causes nuclear first use, and they must win. Nuclear deterrence works for every scenario. Sweeping applications of nuclear deterrence are baked in to our internal link evidence. Reject NEG defense. Their first card is about trade. 1, newest intel shows stockpiles of food and fuel for wartime. 2, encirclement means policies become zero-sum. Zapping diplomacy and communication. 3, decoupling. Our brand's evidence says interdependence doesn't check. 4, risk tolerance is growing. 24, China's incurred a record number of times in risk war with treaty allies. That's Mazar. 5, primacy is existential for both. Drop these cities trap war, which means war is structurally guaranteed in a bipolar system, even if not foreseeable. That's Watkins. Smoked on this premise. Premise 2, yes, the U.S. would use first. Group 1 and C2 and 3. 1, entanglement. Chinese conventional and nuclear systems ensure nuclear preemption. 2, doctrine. The NPR commits the U.S. to deterring nuclear attack with limited use. 3, audience costs. The first major war in generations exposes weakness and requires escalation. That's our Sweeney evidence that answers both of their first 2 arguments. They say that China is conventionally behind. Even if they win that China is conventionally behind, if they sink a carrier to gain dominance or initiate a conventional conflict with the U.S., then it doesn't matter as long as they sink a carrier. The last argument, I think, was the SCS war stuff. Yes, SCS war. 1, allies draw the U.S. into small disputes via treaty obligations. 2, resources encourage, not deter conflict. China will fight for access. 3, transit is competitive. U.S. and China won't accept reciprocal incursions. Premise 3. Dropped. China adheres to NFU. 1, doctrine. Both statements and documents prove retaliation. 2, investments. Technical survivability is prioritized instead of first strike weapons. That's TELUS. 3, capabilities. China doesn't have TMWs. Most recent study shows 0 evidence. NEG response is fear-mongering. That's HEAM. That means on the Soko assurance they said they don't get preemption. The counterclaim. 1, perm do both, fully shields because it fiat's a non-binding promise. 2, perm do the plan and a non-binding promise to not repeal. It does the whole plan and is intrinsic. It does the function of the counterplan to have a non-binding promise. Perm do the counterplan. They must compete via text and function. Key to both clash and fairness by maximizing distinction. Should is not certain. Fight for in 1. Should means must accept an exception in case another possible interpretations. That should is mentally some discretion. Prefer it. Certainty competition is bad by legitimizing uniqueness counterplans. Do the plan if it's good, etc. Perm do the counterplan using the words of the plan. Text below. Perm do the plan and remove unrepealable legislation. Text is below. Solve 0 of the case. Normal means is that the U.S. would just repeal the NFU as soon as conventional conflict starts. It also creates uncertainty. 0 solvency. That doesn't matter. Solvency deficit. It's a non-binding promise that means first use is still possible, and there's every political incentive to roll it back. Graham and 20. This has recognition that competition with the U.S. and China is structural. There's no nostalgia for Obama era and 0 desire for policy somersaults. Team Biden finding it palatable, but they need continuity from Trump's administration regarding China. Biden administration would need to commit political capital and Congress in order to affect changes. This counterplan is a voting issue. It makes the act defend a process that never before in U.S. history has been used. Forcing the act to defend that process alongside a controversial plan makes that victory impossible. Our interpretation is that the plan is fiated and Congress chooses not to repeal it, not that the plan is entrenchment, then that if it's terrible, ACE point, all causes to policy innovation, partisanship, lobbying, status quo bias, BC point, no spillover to other issues. Congress will stay entrenched on other policies. CISA point, the impact card is about the failure to take down Civil War memorials, not durably fiating an NFU. Graham, did they figure out if they read a competition card in the 1 and C and then pull up a depth of that for me? Psychoanalysis critique. Only evaluate the desirability of the plan. Links must be unique, the all-competitive, and the judge must weigh the consequences of the plan. Anything else sidesteps clash and kills fairness. Condos a voting issue. AC point, it doesn't allow straight turns. Skew from contradictory yards makes every counterplan K a no-risk option. B point, Dex research. No 2AC will put time into offense because the NEG will kick it. Dispose solves. C point, the K links to every other 1C position. We get to sever our reps and perm do both solves the link. Extinction outweighs on scope and irreversibility. No link. The card is so abstract it's silly. We don't have it on subconscious desire for security. Williamson, 20 national security. What does it mean? Is it am I for the U.S. to nuke if it wants to, or am I for the U.S. to invade countries if it wants to? We need to know national security. We all have a responsibility to pay attention to temperature with landmines, cluster bombs, not the nuclear to refuse to accept the world it is not utopian, it is sandy. As with laser landmines, bombs, the weapons out the small king, humanitarian discernment, marked at disarmament. Back to the counterplan. Adopt is to endorse or assume responsibility for. Paragraph in 15. Adopt is defined as a deliberative body to endorse and assume responsibility for, or resolution. Thanks, Graham. Back to the critique. Their theory is wrong. Pereira and 21. Psychoanalysis is a pseudoscience that deviates from scientific stance. Dramatic approach is dangerous. Led to scientific stagnation. No good justification for believing in it. No impact, not causally connected to the plan. The all fails blatant. 86. There's been revival of interest, applying interest to reducing war, especially nuclear war. There's been no influence on the policy process that precipitating psychological causes of nuclear war. Such influence will continue. The policy works send risk reduction. Psychologists remain on the cool. Dip cap. It's a myth. Sahey in 14. The idea of diplomatic overstructure is a distraction. Iran and Middle East aren't tough enough to stop it because Obama's taken on too many things, because he's taken on hard things. Even if Obama decided his sole foreign policy priority, the difficulty would still be there. Your commitment to hypothesis allows us to use failures in different parts of the world to explain another. Marked at another. Biden's diplomatic efforts have been through the Department of State. Wishler in 10. 10, 18, Secretary of State Blinken engaged in a manic diplomacy throughout the region by this task, far more difficult this diplomatic challenge insurmountable. NFU is declaratory policy that happens by the NPR. It's 19. What does NFU mean? NFU would change declaratory policy such a declaration would appear in the NPR. That's led by the DOD. Coletta N22, who connects the NPR, the executive branch led by the Department of Defense. No link, one see evidence, it's not substantiated or reason the DOD action spills over or affects it. That is only in Asia, zero reason that spills over or that the diplomats are the same. It fails. Walsh at 19. U.S. is confronted with a problem diplomatic efforts to counter similar criticisms for psychological impediments, barrage reports for deal fantasy, impedes tangible achievement, allure of hard power, sanction trades or carrier, have managed to reinforce the status quo, contempt for one adversary, troubles the process, prevents serious discouraged opposition from hardest fear, a U.S. trip, SOCO assurance, the counterplan, Perm do both, it shields by providing SOCO input, Perm do the counterplan, it reduces nuclear strikes, it causes a war, work in 23, a CN integration, units targeted of the need, provides SOCO with the incentive to integrate capabilities with the alliance, but the ultimate purpose would be the deterrent to prevent escalation rates concerned by crisis escalation, spur the nuclear escalation, it was meant to deter, marked to deter, the case turns the disad, 1, inevitable conventional war, shred assurances, that's white, 2, the AFCAP's escalation, any impact cannot involve U.S. first use, 3, no ally wants us to first strike China, which denies the link, no SOCO prolific, Moon 21, nuclear dominance not likely, SOCO fully committed non-nuclear stance, resist nuclear proliferation, have shrinkage verification, nuclear material science, likely breakout, safety of sanctions effects on account of civilian and atomic industry disruption of the alliance with the U.S. and arms system peninsula, likely ineffective deterrence. No impact, killing 22, no one believes soul, watch out of the blue nuclear strike, put Homer in charge, be so sloppy, DVDs, serious thing, we good sewers, no local cascade occurred, China, Russia, no-go, I'll move forward. First, all SOCO link Ev is about no-code, the plan self-step, attention can cover 23 SOCO, will want to be sure sign on U.S. NFU enough for the U.S. from using to defend nuclear aggression, the U.S. NFU pledge not apply to no-code. Troops, training, missile defense, diplomacy, solve the link, not the 19. If no first use is deteriorating alliance movement, character can reach your allies with nuclear messaging that intercam of mid-common defense or military exercises, and BMD. Nuclear assurances cause prolifs, you can adult 21, sentencing weapons nature could backfire ally. These want reassurance fuels will not rationally use capabilities to take an ally, though guarantees are intended to study prolif to make deterrence credible, can increase support for acquisition for states where they'll be joining a conflict brought by alliance partners. No link, alliance is resilient. Player 16 is take finds that neither alien Republican being among allies believes first use critical to advance the threat has been decided no presidents would you're looking because forward to allies that threat retaliate and weapons programs nation would have to get side obligation on proliferation jeopardizes its alliance with the U.S. risks using U.S. support and support diplomatic isolation, sanctions, active toll on trade, and other vital economic activities. Assurance low now Kim in 24 results of no goes arsenal repeated threats, launch a stream of tests after are losing face to America's about a U.S. president would hesitate to use nukes to defend South knowing Pyongyang could kill millions, marked at millions. The CMR disad, durable fiat means the entire agent of the plan implements it, letting the NEG say the military rules back the plan makes the F always lose. No spillover, war in 23, it's hard to think of a relationship built on sugar foundation. Biden takes the sense of daily while Austin has press apparition police supports the president's decision. Biden has been in the political arena for decades, doesn't feel the need to prove himself, signing with the Pentagon all the time. The president has experience in stating to be confident. Austin has done well in maintaining strong ties with Biden despite president's skepticism of the defense establishment. Secretary airs policy battles for knife fights, turning the shots away from his public. He's the ultimate team player. If they're going to pass this AI policy now, then they would do it inevitably because they have domestic incentives to do so. CMR collapse, thumpers, Ukraine, Lemire, and war in 23. Biden signaled the sharing acts of violence wanted to tolerate. There's been restriction about walking into delivery weapons. Ukraine, the Pentagon was blocking Biden sharing evidence possible Russian war crimes, put another in unity narrative. Growing disconnects may foreshadow larger divided how the war will end. The Pentagon expressed doubts whether Ukraine's forces would dislodge Russia. Whispers have begun about how tenable that would be. A list of thumpers and Black Swan's thumb. CMR will decline inevitably over time because Biden doesn't do everything consulting the DOD. The impact is nonsense, and the U.S. is going to do it inevitably. Their impact card also doesn't say extinction. The elections just said. Trump wins. Betting markets for Clayus 326 polls should be taken with a grain of salt. Any forecasters trace against went away from midterm that income by the chance climbed, but still below the 45% bettors gave to Trump. The link is wrong. Swing voters don't exist. Mills 35. I can't get into someone who waves between Trump and Biden. I see a swing voter in this election difference between Stark certainty. Certainly voters have swung in the last 4 years, not anymore. It's where the campaign goes. What happens the next 8 months doesn't matter. Not when it's church or vote. They won't know about the AFCORN and 320, 3 million on the fence because they're not deeply engaged with the debate. Americans who follow politics have a preference. Voters have made up their mind, don't interact with these voters. They're not paying attention to the news. Cannot hit them without sound and after Trump disconducts afterward. They wouldn't until they must. Means days before the election ads at this point are seen, but they're not effective. Biden doesn't solve climate change. First, other issues thump. People don't care about foreign policy. Biden doesn't solve climate change. Those are 23. Biden EXO campaign said to compensate for decision to greenlight a slew of new fossil fuel projects that will pollute the planet for decades to come. Biden appeasing the fossil fuel industry, market industry, no warming impact. Schellenberger 16. No credible scientific bodies ever say climate change threatens extinction. Mass migration movements occur within affected countries. Not as affected conflict. Other drivers such as economic development are more influential. There's 99% of the planet death toll from disasters. Marked at death toll from disasters. I'm ready for cross sex.
Can you send a marked version?
Sure. It's sent.
Okay.
I'm ready for cross sex.
Yeah, let me get it.
Ready when you are.
Got it. The Prolifisad, the Ramadan evidence, what forms of conventional reassurances would the U.S. provide South Korea post-plan?
Not necessarily conventional, like we would tell them that our conventional capabilities are like sufficient to deter other countries.
Okay, like, so it was just communication from the U.S. that we have conventional weapons and they'll work fine. Like, what
Yep.
evidence that works?
The Ramanathan evidence.
Ramanathan evidence says we can increase capabilities to assure our alliances. The app doesn't do anything to change that?
That's true, but it says that the NFU would include messaging to those allies that would reassure them.
Okay, so it's just messaging that we have conventional forces. The
Yeah.
Sukin evidence, what is the warrant for why? Like who in South Korea currently wants to get nuclear weapons?
Well, what do you mean?
Like, is it the public? Is it elites? Like,
Both.
what South, like,
Well, South Korea is a democracy, so the domestic audiences influences the elite audiences. But this
Okay.
argument makes, this piece of evidence makes two arguments. The first is that South Korea doesn't want the U.S. to nuke China,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
seems pretty intuitive.
No.
The second argument is that those rash threats cause South Korea to want to develop their own nuclear arsenal so that they have control over their
I'm
nuclear
familiar with
futures.
this article. The
Okay.
Blair evidence, it says that first use is, like, assurances are resilient because first use is not credible. How is that not a contradiction with the uniqueness portion of the Sukin term, which says that people are worried that the U.S. would be too likely to use nuke first?
Well, no, I think those things are consistent, that South Korea is afraid that the U.S. is going to use first, not out of protection for them, but because the U.S. is rash, because Trump might be elected, because the executives
This threat
involved.
has been long discounted, knowing the U.S. president to be very reluctant to carry out such a threat.
Maybe among certain factions of the population, but I think
And
those
this is
pieces
all
of
the
evidence
Blair
are
cards?
consistent
Because
that.
these two cards seem like they're making completely different uniqueness claims about this link term.
I don't think that's true. I think the Blair evidence substantiates that as long as we have a credible second strike for South Korea, that or any ally, it's not Blair isn't South Korea specific, but it says for allies in general they care more about second strike than U.S. threats at first use.
Okay. The DipCap dissad, I guess, is the argument for the NPR thing. You've also said on the CMR dissad that the app would go through the DoD, and then on DipCap you said that normally it would be like a new NPR. And then you've also said on CMR that durable fiat means that Congress would implement the plan.
I didn't read
How
that
does
piece
the
of
plan
evidence.
happen?
Our interpretation on the CMR dissad is that the app is enforced durably with the full force of government, but the people actually convincing and messaging it to allies would be the DoD.
Okay. And that's the same thing with the NPR argument?
Yes,
Okay.
because the NPR is,
Yeah, it's
that's the
also-
cardinal load.
Yeah, it's also.
Yeah.
Okay. The elections decide. I guess the betting markets. What's the warrant for why betting markets are more predictive / more accurate?
Because if you're polling people, then those people are just like giving you their opinion, but betting markets are people taking all the factors that could go in to shape the election into mind and then betting with putting their money where their mouth is, literally.
Ted.
Because they see all those polls.
Alright, that was a minute exactly.
I'm gonna register myself.
Oh, 6-5.
Yeah.
Halt the 2 in the city.
You timed this pretty well, actually.
Yeah, it's actually perfect. Good job.
Thank you. Let's go. How are you? I'm good. It's been a weird day. Where'd you go this morning?
England.
How's that? That's nice.
You're negative.
Oh,
I'm doing it right now.
He's got that in
Yeah.
2 weeks. That's
Yeah. Yeah, sure. What's your email? Yeah. Sure. Here, you want to come here?
Let me get you some food. Everyone's gone.
Yeah.
It's not like we're
Emory, those snacks right on the ground, are those Emory snacks that are outside on the wall? Those
I got
are
the
those
box.
snacks?
I don't
What?
know.
I have
Wait.
no clue.
What? Wait.
I'm
What?
just happy
Where?
to
Over there?
Thank you for
two
reminding me.
boxes full of snacks that are outside right now.
Like outside of the building?
They're in the building, but they're over there next to the wall, and they got oatmeal cream pie and eating cakes and cookies and chips.
Do you want me to ask? I'll ask the team chat.
Ask
Yeah.
Michaela if those are
Yeah.
Emory snacks. If they are, Devon will be commandeering you.
Okay. I just like Michaela, so we'll,
Yeah, I'd like to know if that's
No, I need to know those are evil snacks. I'll do it.
does anyone know what's happening? Another bit.
And then could you reply to the new email that
Blue hat bombers.
said this is ad in it?
Bombers.
That's a ding. Ding.
What's up?
Could you reply with the new thing that says like ad in it with the 2 and 2? I just put them on the chain. Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Oh, okay. I see. Just reply to this other message from the 2 Yeah. We'll do. Oh yeah, New York Bombers.
Wow.
Bombers are government, the softball center plan,
Okay. Thank you.
Ukraine politics.
Did you get that from that box in the hall?
Yeah.
Wait,
I
is
asked
that Emory
permission.
stuff?
Oh, whose food is it?
I think Wakes. But I asked someone,
Did you
and
just
they
take
did.
it?
I asked someone. Okay, chill.
Wait, what? Does anyone know what this Michigan half does?
Did you ask somebody from Wake?
They were wearing a Wake shirt.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
So,
Okay.
fingers crossed.
I will need this to start.
It's fine. I'm Bennett's 2A?
What the hell?
Oh,
There's a hand on my cup.
is it in your cup? Oh, it's the empty one. Who cares?
I know.
It's crazy dark. Yeah, it's just crazy that down the box. Crazy that down the box. Yeah.
They're not yours, they're Wake's. But the Wake is letting people eat them.
Okay, 2CT. Okay, Shreyas.
What's the tea?
The 2C's T. Looks like, oh, T and softball.
Nice.
Yes, Riz.
We love that.
Love it.
Tell them not to break that shit in the sentence.
No case.
What was the new app?
Bombers. You know the thing Dartmouth broke? The one that converts the neutral ones to conventional? They broke that.
That's
The 2C's T and the softball. Softball.
Yeah, what does softball do? Well,
Gonna have to find out.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Don't
That's
explain it
not
to me.
hard.
Yeah, I was saying.
Well, I know what softball is,
Yeah.
but like,
I know what softball is.
You're already ahead of me.
I wrote the treaty paper.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, I helped with the cheese paper.
You liked it?
She helped with it.
I helped with it.
I remember that. That makes
I
me
did.
really.
Thank you for reminding me. I got it, so
What?
Cal. I'm graduating that time.
Yay!
We'll see me here again.
Probably not.
Congratulations.
Won't see me here again in 2 years. It's a good joke.
You say you've never seen me?
No, she said we won't see me here again in 2 years.
Is next week's topic international again?
No, we're open.
Okay, so I've got. So it's open or?
It's open.
So it's not.
It's open, yeah, you can do whatever, you can write whatever paper you want.
Okay.
Coming from the dude who's collecting the papers.
Okay. That's exciting. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. I didn't want to do international twice.
Trying to jump on this Kentucky paper.
What's a Kentucky one?
I'm trying to write an energy paper.
I want to do climate.
Oh, it's climate. It's not gonna be a thing.
Adjacent. We're adjacent. We're not.
I want to do like carbon pricing would be my ideal.
Yeah, I want to debate about that.
The energy paper is more fives paper. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're more about fives.
Okay.
No, we want to do oil.
Yeah.
I want to make a really big paper so it's a bunch of apps. This top is flat.
I was trying to pitch to David like a taxes topic, like wealth tax, carbon tax. I don't want to do that now because I think there's too much overlap with the high school topic.
Yeah.
But he was like, no, I don't like talking about the economy.
That's true.
I want to debate about the personal.
High school topic's good.
That's what top is cool. They're gonna butcher it. It's cool.
Oh yeah, TUC's good now.
I think it's I like it a lot more than the previous couple of years.
Yeah, the last high school topic sucks.
I loved CJR my senior year.
I hated CJR.
Really?
CJR went off the
I
rails.
really liked it. I thought it was fun.
CJR. It was just the crime they said.
Oh, see, I never interacted with the crime.
It wasn't hot.
No, I'm sure I also would hate the crime stuff.
I only saw the abolition versus the crime.
Really?
Probably got some family needs to get some real
I didn't judge a lot. I judge one term. I didn't really judge a lot of terms.
Okay. Doc was sent. Is everyone ready? Well, yeah.
Oh, okay, order.
Yeah. Psychoanalysis. Unrepealability. Korea. Premise 1. Premise 2. And then I just found out in the 2EC that there was premise 3, so premise 3.
I need to hear all of these.
Yeah. Psychoanalysis. Unrepealability pick. Korea pro-lift design.
I think this might be like an earlier
Yep.
documentation.
Probably sent the wrong doc. Oh yeah, real early.
So is there something after Korea?
The case order. So premise 1, premise 2, premise 3. Okay.
I'm sorry. Give me a second.
Yeah, no, you're good. Don't worry.
And you resent the
Yeah, the right doc is sent now. So just don't listen. Is everyone good? Oh, yeah, no worries.
Let me just confirm the order one more time for me. So it's K.
Yep.
Repealability.
Yep.
And then what is that?
Assurances.
Assurance.
Yep.
Case.
Yep, case order.
Case of order 1, 2.
Yep. Okay.
Okey-dokey.
Good. Yep. Panel. Kansas. Cool. K, consider the perm theory, reject the argument, conditionality, we get it. 1, reciprocity, 2, EC, stand back, and plan 6, 1, really needs to make AFF code, no reception, denied, reciprocal engagement, tilt the scales. 2, flexibility, stopping AFF, step back, executing egg, maritime ways, like unique structural issue keywords, otherwise pressure for the AFF. 3, education, risk aversion, means condos, the only turtle to deck research that need to be capitalized, jobs after 1, seeking structure. 4, innovation, kind of improved, David Edge, new strategy. 5, there are some arbitrary logical for $1 billion, reason 1, C could be better, voting out, index fairness. 6, their offense is inevitable because we must fill 1 and T type of lacks and impacts, mission, marginal utility, dispo. 1, arbitrary, no consensus, can't scale up. 2, kills flex, can't vary, no benefits. 3, recates, boost, spots, can't plans and force, perfcon, is not intrinsic to condos, answered by above by rejecting the argument on repealability. Concede the perm theory, reject the argument now, Korea. Kick the uniqueness counterplan, the link turn is the old and bad version of the Sukin article, so we don't need it now independently. Salco, pro-lift cause extinction, misperception, prevention guarantees first use pressure, which causes preemptive strikes, or inadvertent escalation, malfunction, causes immediate crisis that should follow the untested nature of nukes and new states, creates massive instability that outweighs 1 time frame, brewed, all 20 physical, limited degree of prophecy, every 6 months, develop adversaries, or preemptively strike work, 23 seconds, non sort of interest in nuclear exclusion, nuclear exclusion, protect its nuclear cars, give China's involved with the use of EMP extinction, 24 electromagnetic bolsters, everything cascading effect on problem, because all actual actions, there are no configuration, target the use of the perspective. Korean industrial age. 2, magnitude nuclearized South Korea next cascading proliferation throughout the Middle East and East Asia that ensures drawing that's football and no defense assumes that the arguments of the case turning it wrong. There's no warrant-wide conventional war strategy, especially if their uniqueness argument is the U.S. gets involved low, or if the U.S. gets involved at the conventional level, which means it would obviously just shore up assurances. Second, the Fs cannot cap escalation. First, we would argue that case while China said a few fake, but it's irrelevant because our argument is that nuclear states are prone to use, which spurs nuclear war, regardless of whether the U.S. is the first to strike. It would certainly get involved calling extinction. Yes, allies want the U.S. to first strike China. That will be the link debate. Now, 2, AC2 or 2AC4 is the no prolif argument. The moon evidence. First argument is that it's quote committed to non-nuclearism. It's 4 years old. First, security comes first. Proto. Do the FT to nuclear system. Unfired fragile system. Made the third. Hosting Latin hacker. Avoid backlash. Large control. Powerful control. Humanity representing culture. Follow the moon evidence is the link is true. The proliferation cascades. 2C. Moon 21 over security. Is going to real nuclear revolution. She also says we're right. 2C. Moon 21 DP. Okay, so nuclear sentiment. We're 4. Worst case, it's years old. 1C. Link evidence. Post-station also removes uniqueness for the link turn. Now the Kelly evidence first. 0 quals. Poly-side profit. A Korean university running national swill. 2. Wrong empirics. Russia did just spark an arms race. We're lucky it didn't escalate. 3. Causes miscalculation. Moon 23 news like arm and all that. It doesn't answer preemption or Middle East, which are dropped external impacts. Now the Benedict card is simply a no-link argument. They're factually wrong. First, South Korea's infirm opposition to an NFU policy supports the Washington Declaration, which committed the U.S. to using any means necessary to achieve extended deterrence. The plan rebukes. That means proliferation is seen as a safer bet. That's 1 pain. 2. Psychological effect matters most. Kim 22 NFU. Human budgets nuclear force posture allies of officials pay no attention to allies and pay too much for Russian faces importance. Even if conventional scale for and also worse the alternate NFU is the country will follow 3. The plan is viewed as bargaining away the alliance to turn rebel 20 NFU would shake the confidence U.S. allies in the region of the allocated this many years Mauritius given a NFU pledge to China U.S. would have the things but that the umbrella was bargained away for Chinese immigration views to hold NFU Chinese decision NFUs increase we getting agencies weakest trust in the alliance Sheen 22 elementary fundamental costs like if we want to try to picture we cover great decisions all over the impact of the Korean assault the great what's around one of the use as a charge 4 distinction with wholesale NFUs relevant for on the source debates running NFU would have played one of those applications in the topic of course for the use of the allies are looking for coverage use over China. Actually no, they read this card for us and using this counter plan they conceded that any shift in U.S. nuclear policy is sufficient to trigger the link, which means this no link thing is 0. The reassurance argument it fails. It's 0'd in cross links. We just tell them they have conventional forces. We are the evidence above indicates they think they need the explicit threat of nukes against China, which means this is 0. First, they fail. 1 empirics bleak. 14 new sections on nuclear for a specific doctrine for registers result of the damage is already done on Noska. 18 all spots for community first we got to do challenging with the allies. They think about the shaking reflection also threat of making moves believe was difficult. Guarantee reveal the interest limiting the patches of the alliance adjustment still exists. The Sukin evidence link turn is wrong. 1. Every unique card above disproves entrapment fears. They all prove South Korea trust and security commitments enough to avoid proliferation. To their polls are wrong. The Washington Declaration for public support 1124 discuss after which jurisdiction numbers approved numbers approved public support is it highest in 20 decline in 22 more frequent than you cover the policy and nuclear balance that they trust to prefer our studies park at all policy policy decision with the Lisa and with this work release penalty indivisible results shows how American superior also bottom line lead opposition future more effective than public experiments 3 comparable commitments dissuade proliferate for experimental data saw it all 20 positive purpose service for service purpose all the existing less against the environment against the population from this was affirmation of 60% market at 62%. The argument of the alliance being resilient is 8 years old. Each piece of uniqueness evidence contradicts it. It's possible to proliferate, but it might be resilient, but it's still currently feasible. Considering W24 exists with the political feasible the option now the deterrence. Now the argument of being low now, the only warrant is Trump. This will largely be answered to one another as Biden wins, but he'll maintain our commitment even if he does. 24 for South Korea now at premise 1. War is not inevitable. Trade checks. There are mutual billions of dollars that underpin each U.S. and China's economy, which checks hawkish politicians because they would be tossed. The index of both war and inevitable arguments and the 1 Burkall evidence, which is predictive of each conflict they cite directly indicting the Thucydides model that answers the first subpoint. None of this answers trade. Now I'll go through the 5 things they said. The first argument was newest intel. Modernization does the exact same thing in the U.S., leading us to stockpile arms and food, but that does not draw the logical conclusion that we are going to invade Canada. 2. Encirclement. Encircled by who? China has some capacity of trade relations with South Korea and Japan, which means they never sacrifice those to randomly pop off and start a war. 3. Decoupling. There's no evidence that this is occurring. Trade is up as per the Burkall evidence, the 1 4 is risk tolerance. Our evidence all prices this is that the risk tolerance exists for lower level provocations that would never escalate and certainly never risk entangling U.S. forces. 5. Primacy argument is existential for both. If we did not drop the Thucydides trap argument, that will be below, but it's wrong. Version 23. The critics are level 36 and half of the national based on 2 is the publishing world is represented 2 hedgehogs. There's no imminent China conflict. Chapter 24 believes that war shows the corner of the 76 conflict and all the strategic conflict that were last routine. What happened with taking the social media official that have top 27 conflict and over the month of majority three should have to invade some and economic opportunity. You know, what you call the means was by no means in giving up it quells the modernization efforts to stifle potential for any escalation. Wong 24 shaking exposure make opportunities to the vision of the never seen second one of the large purpose and the tailor could do more to get public slowing models and modernization efforts and reliability expensive for focus on operations and government and visually only the streets of the sector below the threshold of war. They're toning down all of their aggression where Yasu 24 tries to look at it. Then it was the hours that money was personally for some vision China's who a piece of the constitution is you were created visiting the use of China will not fight set the state for peaceful development. China will act local diplomacy fishing for policy creator for the national environment love China focus on modernization. We're light years ahead. They never risk it hard. 24 information how much China is spending as how to command doctors basically on our service city as I say precisely US dollars from China to the future a little more than half market at half. The NC3 attack scenario, they've conceded our internal defense to the risk of a cyber attack on NC3 is next to 0. First, they've conceded senior military leaders disagree. The system is old, hardened, and largely disconnected from the rest of the civilian and military world, which lacks in hardened architecture that's in their hardwired. No, they would not use a nuclear weapon in response to this previous intrusion to the governmental system check, and there's no evidence that says China wants to intrude on NC3 systems now, just as a hypothetical consequence, which is a missing internal link in the chain. Now, the carrier's defense, it was extended in the 2 and T, the 1 and 2 Wu evidence. They've conceded that the carriers are well supported by alternate Yugoslav forces in the region, which is aid. China would never risk it, and B, if they did risk it, they would carry not sink, which are not sure U.S. response, so it doesn't cause escalation or extinction. But there are tons of defenses, Thompson 23 carrier device, his damage is minimal. The no Taiwan scenario, if they've conceded no invasion, she wants to stabilize relations. That stuff was largely done above. No SCS war, they've dropped the U.S. will never go nuclear to defend the Vietnam and the Philippines. That's obviously wrong, but China will de-escalate. The U.S. effectively restrains them. Now, premise 2, the U.S. will not strike first. First warrant in the 2 ECU's entanglement. There's no preemption. They've conceded verifications. All of the U.S. will never launch in response because they're patient 2 doctrine. This is factually wrong. The NPR doesn't think we will use a nuke first. It is strategic ambiguity about the role of nuclear weapons. 3, audience costs. It's not the first major war. Middle East, drawn strikes and Russian forces in Syria, proxy wars in Israel, Ukraine. When this argument, they need when the public would advocate for a nuclear holocaust, and leaders would be dumb enough to listen. The U.S. would never nuke China, be insane, and they know they would instantly sacrifice millions because China has secure second strike. Kulaki says to be suicide. Roberts says the U.S. does not even have an operational plan for the damage limitation. The evidence is all hypothetical. The risk is low. If you want internal link to conventional war, the Sweeney evidence is a hypothetical inserted. The only line in nukes about Brown is a rhetorical question. You should insert that as well. The bar is extremely high. King. 22 things military would interpret China's position saying this episode of the Chinese military use the risk of against the nuclear with us and which is trying to generate some turn if I can use the military powerful. Let me hide listening money to be filled and try to use the devilish is extremely low. The Logan evidence is cut backwards. SSB and concentration shows China sheds their NFU and obviously to ensure much vulnerability. They only have 6 and they're noisy. Insert 1 and 2 Logan 23.
You ready for cross-X?
No, let me get water.
Okay. Everyone's getting one.
I'm good with my risk stop.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, what is the scenario for escalation if South Korea acquires nuclear weapons?
Well, so we've read a couple pieces of evidence. First, the card that we read to answer your impact defense indicates that new nuclear states are likely or prone to miscalculation, meaning that South Korea could potentially launch a nuke either because A, they fear adversary aggression. They do not have secure second strike capability.
Why would they
which means
fear
they're losing.
adversary aggression
What?
if China has a durable NFU?
North Korea would aggress against
Okay.
South. They fear North Korea
What
would
piece of
aggress
evidence
against
says
them.
North Korea
What?
would aggress? What piece of
The
evidence
1
says
and C
North
work
Korea?
evidence, the symbolic impact card, all talk about North Korea, and the card that we just read. Also, the evidence in the
Moon
2 and
is
C
not
that I just
about.
read, the evidence independent of North Korea, which again is in those cards I just said before.
Okay.
The
So-
evidence
so
I just read in the
North
2 and C
Korea-
said that Russia and China would become China's quote #1 target.
Well, you can't say China because you conceded that China's NFU was durable.
No,
in
I
the
actually
NC.
answered that at the bottom.
So North Korea preemption, sure. Is your argument that
I-
North Korea
did
would
you hear the
damage
thing I just
limit?
said, though? I
Is
answered that.
well, the North Korea stuff, is your argument that North Korea would preemptively strike South Korea?
Well, it could be that, or it could be that South Korea fears a North Korea preemptive strike and launches a response. We've read a scenario about a
Why
North
would
Korea preemptive
South
strike.
Korea attack
What?
North Korea?
What?
Why would
South Korea doesn't
attack
have a secure
North Korea?
second strike after proliferating, which means they're extremely vulnerable to use it or lose
Why
it.
would they proliferate in the first place
What?
if they're just going to launch their nukes at North Korea immediately if they don't have a secure
They
second
proliferate because they want an extended they want a nuclear deterrent
Because
against
they
North
want a
Korea.
secure second strike. But your
No,
argument is
not
that.
because they want a secure second strike, because they want a nuclear deterrent.
What is a deterrent if not a second strike?
What?
What is the point of having a deterrent if you don't have a secure
There's a
second strike?
litany of other scenarios. They could
Okay.
perceive North Korea conventional invasion. They could perceive they use a bioweapon, etc.
I think
and
I've
it's
made
also
my
they
point.
wouldn't have a secure second strike because they would only be able to make a low number of nukes.
You have some pieces of evidence that say that South Koreans, the psychological effect, the
Yeah.
Kim evidence. What piece of evidence says, or like, why would officials worry that the U.S. would roll back its force posture if all we just said was we're not going to first strike
The
South?
Santoro and Grommel evidence. Well, so Kim talks about that first. The line that's really important to Kim is that allies aren't going to like spend time reading the text of the declaration to figure out what the hell is going on. Who can and can't use the first strike against.
What? Proliferating is this massive cost. This is like totally changing the security
I
environment.
think
Is
you're
your argument that allies
underestimating.
would just
I think you're
assume we're
underestimating
rolling back
the threshold to which our link evidence says that the U.S. underwrites South Korea's entire security guarantee. Yes, proliferating is a big
Right,
cost,
that seems like
but
a
the
reason
perception
the
of the
relationship
link, the
is.
perception
Well,
of the
hold on,
link
hold on.
is the U.S. Yeah.
That seems like a reason the relationship would be resilient and that South Korea would
You didn't
double
let me get to
down
my second
instead of
part.
proliferating.
So the Santoro and Grommel card is pretty specific on this argument. It says that no amount of U.S. reassurance to South Korea could compensate for solely an NFU with China. The reason for this is because China or South Korea perceives that the U.S. is trying to reduce like tensions with China and is instead bargaining away the alliance.
Last
it says
two
there'll
super
be
quick
fears
questions.
about what?
One, do you have a card that says that South Korea wants the U.S. to first strike China?
That's irrelevant.
Okay.
That's
My
irrelevant
second,
for literally everything I
so
just
no
said.
is the answer to that question.
That's irrelevant
My
for every
second
argument
question
I
is,
just
do you have a piece of evidence that if a conventional war broke out in Asia, South Korea would not proliferate?
What?
If a conventional war broke out in Asia, do you have a piece of evidence that says South Korea would not proliferate?
Yes, all of our link evidence assumes
All of our link evidence
And also,
assumes
none of your
I see.
cards say that they will, so we're going to read more.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, fuck, you have a center?
Yeah, let's do. Sorry? Yeah, I know. Why is less than? Let me see. Okay. The order is CMR and then elections. Yeah, CMR and then elections. Okay. Is anybody not good?
1 second, sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't hear you say sorry.
I need just a second.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay. Okay. The CMR does not mean there's no spill over the CMR is which means there's no offense on the page and it's also the elections is set. Existential climate change always guarantees extinction crisis and expects every threat most recent expert data on rising ocean temperature spread and basic species deforestation value decline proves it outweighs under every metric of impact calculus of Brody and Watson evidence only our impact are reversible point of Watson and nuclear research on nuclear winter have all of this other hemisphere nations might be relative radiation freezes up to everything during very severe hours. These Russian nations and ice and swelling islands and benefits of interrupt the nuclear winter the nuclear winter commission connectivity to Caesar likely by direct impact short-term aversion to West-China relations is critical to prevent a term point but the dissent solves case in the long-term one big push on pro-China diplomacy will come in the next year following the election. It's tried out for the night because only a second bite of victory has the hopes of easing tensions of China that 624 by the election. But these global tensions that control the focus of vectors for as well as a new push to combat climate change. Right, divided would enjoy any nuclear, but that was nothing but reinforced defensive position on alliances. Evil relations could have been for climate diplomacy. One further than strategy of French did the same the next year's UN climate conference. Marban between the United States and China's operating second to raise the host less global tension to the time differential. You need to avoid the link outweighs any negligible impact of delaying action. It does not take out the link. Biden will lose the election. If it gets off, then China now it will stabilize relations once his term is secured. SS CNP 2020 Biden elected potential for improvement in ties election. Current time taking coalition with the Biden until China candidates both agree they can each offer China with election. Seeing uploading U.S.-China relations will continue to run the policy towards China will be tough Biden. When he's selecting his regular China on option 3, second Biden term solves the after link to relations. Single 21, the Biden. When he's also about to be the policies and policies for the JCP way head off development with Iran and Saudi Arabia curbing. Or nuclear arsenals also through talk to China through Biden and objective people not made it help with Trump. Since it's also Rebuttal could exacerbate tensions and criticism and speculation called Biden. It's often repulsive to appreciate stories of nuclear testing. It also turns the case voting out collapses relations long term under second Trump term. 1, it guarantees China more pay. 24, leads to fucking contribution Trump says it settles sort of China trouble. Like you feel people with China block with China hawks and nuclear completely helping the trade hawks and pride. Profit filter off into a China Beijing move on just one filter measure told you. Committed to force the war to quickly face a new Cuban Missile Crisis. 2, it heightens the risk of crisis and still these all to human reasons. Your first chance of being made affirmation. Over to national to enterprise. Second Trump administration hosting nuclear diplomacy with Iran, Russia, and China are much of the process of nuclear proliferation in the Persian Gulf and East and the Persian Gulf and East Asia. 2AC won the betting markets. Biden wins now multiple national polls with the Biden and Trump, even in surveys leading towards Trump. But after the Second Union, early surveying, its important matters because poll gains lazy campaign cash infusions that decide the election. As 12 evidence to Biden wins the Kennedy Haley voters grounds between for the evidence between the Twitter more than launch effort. Tonight, Trump the White House has an opportunity for Biden to accept negative views about Trump and Biden greater. Gains if there's anything that's saying more of the warning plays that the Trump people to say that Trump is anything they're racing into the Republican. Raising any time 2016 those votes will be decided. Berkeley's 24 Haley. Capturing 100% of the Republican voters PC for the national transporters and controversial overpaying grace to Trump and Trump Biden to the Republican Party. It's Roger Trump cannot turn the Haley's over come back through. There's been consistent swinging towards Biden. Trump is losing his after the independence. Number 24 incoming. Looking for some independent post Trump and independence representative had the Trump on the 2 over the Republican upgrading of Garland Trump at this point. Just a net 7-point swing towards Biden's suburban voters. That's Robinson 24 Biden. As you always want to voters in the next year, the national election numbers and here some of the 47% of the voters. But parties move back right to the point with Biden's ahead of American voters is 250% of the vote for Biden's activities. It's 3 lines and has no warrants. The only warrant is betting markets. This is a crush with the negative with so neg. We'll insert the screenshot here. 2 betting markets are a joke. Drums, 24 predictions are very good. And we do the level of function to all to the department. I control the operating over 280% left to a budget and possible rationality. 2020 example rational behavior research from the evidence efficiency and rationality efficient use ordinary information tendency and oversee the low probability events as well as bias extreme trouble the forecast and to attributes the bottom of the card. Index polls they work young 4 polling. False positive benefits and attributes of democracy or attributes adding democracy to the American side compared to typical questions the market is not capturing. But it's not capturing a critical concern. 2AC2 no swing voters. Swing voters are really the vast majority. The voters say that may not be swing voters in the trade case. There's a few thousand Haley voters who will decide the election now that choose out for specificity. 1 Haley voters prioritize foreign policy and China as evil as high 23 having served with the UN and intentionally of the hurricane against the foreign policy. They don't provide to Ukraine fight against Russia. Confronting China by foreign absolutely high votes with the who's more clearly that they don't too good. And you the voters are by her foreign policy experience and conflicts raising other candidates have good experiences, but she's intentional experience in keeping the campaign. We need Ukraine to one of Ukraine wins. China will not go to one this lot. It's especially true when support for NFU policy is incredibly low. And when anyone support NFU is limited national security actors role. But Ukraine is involved with voting against that, including the arms of the current administration about the reaction of as a Biden was involved with, he would have to overrule his key advisors, mark the card and advisors. Those voters decide the election. Content 24 who it's not to bring Haley voters to a good question if you vote against Biden Trump's going to be if they say that they vote for Trump, that's going to be decisive on making Haley voters are putting us setting out what you should the polls that came down to Biden and showing Haley voters absolutely look at this. It's going to be very close to another sense of thousands across 5 states, especially true in this case. Every vote counts on Republicans. It's not the president choices America Trump absolutely needs them too. 2AC Mills is one news reporter's opinions on the election. There are no qualifications. 2AC3 will not know about the app. It's dead wrong. The absent push towards U.S.-China cooperation during an election year leads to a second Trump term. 1 it destroys Biden's campaign as Trump on China narrative. It's a critical issue that Plain Harvard is essential voting base need to be Trump and remember that's Moss's evidence of Plain strengthens GOP campaign against Biden this week on China. Biden China declaration. Reveals to meetings that President Lee Little over the still Ukrainians will go on conference that produced post for military leaders against the president people national security Russia and China allied governments. So even further even Trump will not do this. Biden has remained tough on China through the assured voice of voter backlash. The plane flips that which costing the election coverage during the era. There's no future racial policy towards China. Policy party party continue the harmony towards the faith of China. China is winning almost like more cooperation. China over the hard cooperation with China. China is over the other issues. The other issues matter. Stuff does not matter. 2 no evidence. Only mumbled abortion and functionally dropped Olympics and new answers. But all the evidence disproves this. After decisively agree that voters are looking towards China, which he always does. On 24 election policies and full favorites that makes sure your China is more important to China. Issues only become a major Trump voters activating social issues, racial security over and asking passive election to reveal the growing pattern with the China issues and in the present concerns of voters mark. The carded voters that internally defense of the 2C had no warrant. Biden does solve warming. They marked the card way too early. They didn't answer the 1C card, but he does solve Davenport 23 Biden. Second policy and the agency will come to America actually takes the interviews with legal policy possibility for 2050. If you want to say the hard rate to most catastrophic impacts, the impact defense is wrong. It's existential. Injury 22 companies is existential. The problems are before they can dominate fact the purpose of the company takes it on level. This would to others more other problems come between kind of something even though already claimed has been a key role in every single mass extinction event, every single mass extinction event has on the direct impact on increasing competencies. With regard to there's no qualifications for the 2C impact defense coverage needs immediate new answers. or Korea, mark the card at Korea.
Ready?
Yep.
10 minutes. Wait, can we wait for that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll stop at 9:50.
Yep. So, here's the this
So
thing.
you are taking purchase of the car.
Yeah, I'm sending a card.
Yeah, I paused at 9:50.
Hey, no worries.
Yeah, my computer's doing like the spinning wheel thing, so it's gonna take a second.
The wheel of death.
I just have like 30 speech docs open, so. The card's set. Yeah. I got it.
All right, we'll start again at 9:53.
Cool.
252.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I will also.
Exactly, we said that.
Yeah, that is why I said that.
Are we good for an order?
Yeah.
Premise 1. Premise 2.
Yep.
The South Korea Prolifier. And then elections.
Okay, 1 second.
Just give me a second to get on the dock.
Yeah, I need a sex girl.
It's SoCo and then elections? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then we'll go for doc.
sec. Alright. I'm good.
Okay. Is
Yep.
anyone not ready?
China war is inevitable. One, recency, China's building up food and munitions for war. Most recent indicators are blinking red and the powder is dry in Asia. That's Beckley. Two, Thucydides, power transitions are conflict prone and leads to status insecurity, which motivates early escalation. Third, accidents, ASATs, and cyber attacks across nuclear red lines or lead to crisis and stability because the U.S. will think China is preparing for a nuclear launch. That's done. The U.S. stockpiling food would be an indicator of imminent conflict. Decoupling is true. Trade wars and economic downturn incentivize early escalation and erode interdependence. Thucydides' trap is true. It's historically proven. Most power transitions end in carnage. Their most evidence citing one Chinese foreign minister with an incentive to lie. Multiple hotspots like conflict level came through 23. China's military engaged proactive behavior. Aircraft and Taiwan fire missiles shooting into EC express authority and the SEO politics by reducing overreactive provocations. It's security ultimately points in settled order. China leading arms and hypersonic bombers. Choose Japan speed latest with one to 8 Taiwan and SES magnifying sizes. China's space equipment and missile and others. Current facilities with the U.S. Southern region as war by 2025 and China's leaders will compromise. It wasn't she called out U.S. telling officials they must fight. They have also dropped wars imminent in the South China Sea, which answers the rest of their stuff. Premise 2, U.S. nukes first. 1, entanglement planners mistake Chinese signaling as prep for a first strike. 2, doctrine. The NPR emphasizes early use for strategic effect. 3rd, audience costs domestic backlash to a mass conflict casualty conflict box. The president and the TNW use. America is overconfident in their preemptive capability, and that in fact that China has a secure second strike does not reflect reality or perception. Verification fails because we cannot observe whether China is preparing for a nuclear strike. Yes, audience costs. Tough on China sentiment forces the president's hand, and the public broadly supports nuclear use as per their links on politics. You can't insert reality because debate is a communicative activity, and your ev is all hypothetical too. No card says that China would shed their NFU, and they've also dropped that China doesn't have the capabilities to do it because they don't have TNWs. SOCO DA. Turns case requires that they win Prolif happens in the first place. No preemption. Drop China lacks the ability to do it and is deterred by second strike. It would stay conventional at worst. Time frame is uncertain and contingent on external variables. One in our Brewer 23, 2 years to establish infrastructure to create an arsenal of societies capable to meet objectives. What is implied? Needed to match NOCO. There's no North Korea preemption. Roy 131 Doko does not go to war against Tokyo to transfer the military war to be conventional forces stream of nuclear threats, anti-missile defense, and Tokyo interest in the decapitation of leadership. Regardless, it stays conventional and is deterred by second strike. Winning the case zeros every neg impacts massive war and nuclear use in Asia causes allies to dash for the bomb. They oppose nuclear use because it would irradiate their populace and make them targets of retaliation. South Korea will not proliferate. South Korea is committed to non-nuclear weaponry, has strict verification over nuclear materials, fears sanctions, clings to the U.S. alliance, and is scared of arms racing. That's Moon. Security does not come first because sanctions come at the expense of that. The Moon rehoutings are garbage. Don't say Prolif is likely. The second rehoutaning is about Norco, which we don't link to. Here's more reasons. Einhard 22. Acquiring weapons would not be cost free to draw from the ABT. We brought a list of stronger program. Trading partners who scale back hub, international nuclear hub, putting drop, cut off, affecting secure dependent nuclear power. Countries be aware that nuclear forces will be targets of attack. Economic and prestige costs overwhelm. Move 23 to recall blowback to disclosure. No 4. Friends and us movements focal sanctions by the U.S. Japan and EU devastate export economy, nuclear power with separate blow nuclear energy full dependent on the U.S. would return all materials to the U.S. NCG, stop supplying raw materials and power industry on retail withdraw from the EMT, weaken international image for most of Euro Nokia and faces thing maybe rogue this undermining a new Prolif regime, even if no domino or MPT collapse lead 22 MPT will collapse as it could develop and the domino would undercur treaties and deflections like August and MPT tolerates the nuclear states domino already come to Asia's block traffic factors and nuclear balance so it comes from a lack of equivalent weapons marked at equivalent weapons. There's no technical capacity and it takes forever. Einhorn 23 Sicko doesn't have uranium facilities or accessible uranium discovered. Only lateral difficulty acquiring uranium finding a technically and politically acceptable test war would be insurmountable and take years. Now conventional solves the link. Alternative capabilities are good enough and would be scaled up. They solve better because they're more usable and the psychological effect would be smoothed over by it. Their Centaur evidence is rhetorically powerful but it doesn't have a warrant. The QEC card does not concede a link. I don't know why they said that. Diplomacy, conventional forces and larger concerns ensure allied security advantage. Good cover 23. U.S. and allies can rely on nuclear means for aggression. So wants on U.S. and not prevent the U.S. defend against and even U.S. and if you should not apply you consider to be dealt with the conventional conflict with the choice of your China's force finding Japan you have to participate in tri-little shops and if you would apply only to China, South Korea cares mostly about North Korea, which is why their evidence doesn't apply. Their empirics card isn't about NFU. Lenothka is about troops, which if anything is our argument. Troops, now, alliances are resilient. South Korea is dependent on the U.S. for their security, and you should have a low bar. The less resilient alliances are, the more likely the link should have happened. Reef and Kimmel 16. And if you direct allies, given the U.S. or suffer a retaliatory blow to the aggressor marked at aggressor elections, DA, nuclear winner is certain because when you see Claire says that it would cause an existential stuff, their evidence is not good enough about China. China, and not specific enough. The F outweighs in time frame because you can only die once. Nuke war turns the environment via missions. No turns case. Trump can't first strike China because we fiat he won't. And no impact to those wars because they don't go nuclear. And there's no uniqueness because we're coming now. We have defense to prolif on the other page. Biden doesn't solve the case because Sleepy Joe will stumble into conflict. Long-term diplomacy is irrelevant because our scenarios are immediate and happen for the case. And Trump can't first strike because of durable fiat now. No swing voters. Undecideds aren't actually undecided. They're a myth. Parties are too polarized. The choices you struck for anything to make a difference. Driven 328 important polls. 92% told surfaces know how to weigh the bid. They would vote. The remaining 8 could be alternative candidates. People are going to vote. Are people who know that are elected to lose. If you're undecided, you were enforced evolution of bizarre social experiment or paying attention to the news. There's no way to predict swing voters. They'll latch on to anything unpredictable. Temperatures in code 3-6 depending on the news at any point. Voters could swing depending on any NEG in 2016. 20 weeks after Clinton on the email from it. I've told it to her Trump surge and a few weeks later Trump blow it up throughout this battle forth. There was no way to know until the election. Trump's and the news is going to then voters vote again could lead to swing that volatility about consideration next week. Biden has a moment. Who doesn't look after the voters swing back. Underlying instability voters is still there. Haley voters are not swing voters because they'll choose whoever they chose in 2016. They won't know about the AFF. It's too far out. Declaratory policy is an obscure technocratic issue, and other factors like China tariffs are more determinative. Biden will not solve warming. He's approved fossil fuel projects and only talks about green policies to appease young liberals, finishing the car just under 23. Biden XO campaigns trying to compensate for disease green lettuce to fossil fuel horses polluting the planet for decades. Biden is appeasing the fossil fuel industry. Oh shit. Biden pledged no more drilling yet. Approved drilling projects faster than Trump did. Biden approved only gas listing in the Gulf of Mexico. Medicinal carbon monoxide approved in LNG bag up project times policy is off the rail. No exit.
Concede. Diplo fails.
Concede diplomacy fails.
The other page.
On the other page.
Because then that means Biden can't
Because
solve
that means
diplomacy.
Biden can't solve diplomacy.
Okay. We got 9 minutes.
See if I can find it.
pause prep, sorry. I can't see how much time we have on Dave's screen, so I need to make my timer match. So I can only see the number of minutes. Okay, now we can resume it. Sorry about that.
Okay, yeah.
Keep tapping.
Grant, did you read both no impact to the coaching cards?
No, just one.
Just which one? Sorry.
The first one.
Roy or Pickle?
Roy.
Roy? Okay, thanks.
I can never. I've tried.
He's a fast guy. What do we? No. What'd you say? Oh, okay. Soft law? Well, politics isn't that benefits. That makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Can we put the one that's
Oh, yeah. Wait, we didn't know what?
we have one and two to be sent at the same time, so we can only risk breaking it and sending it and then seeing before chaos and everyone's
See, that's next one.
here's why we can read it.
That's insane.
Yeah, and I'm a firm member of the Smooth Brain Club. They've offered me some merch. I couldn't say no, of course. I have the other version of the sticker. I just don't have the space in my life.
As you can see, I have just trying to find the space. This is now just
Okay, is everyone good? Assurances, elections, case, just like the order of the wires. Premise 1, premise 2.
So you say
Yeah.
elections?
Assurances, elections, case in the order of premise 1, premise 2. Okay, is everyone good? Yeah, no worries. Mm-mm.
Oh wait, no, there's one.
Oh, there's a card. Margaret's gonna set
I'm
that out.
sending it. Just remind me to still turn it on. What's the thing? Oh wait, it cleared my confirmation. I'll just put it in the box.
I can wait on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
We're putting
I'll
it.
put it as like a transparent.
Smooch.
Yeah, I can just
Okay, then is everyone good?